2026 is shaping up to be an exciting year for single player games, and four open world titles Crimson Desert, Grand Theft Auto 6, Fable, and The Blood of Dawnwalker have my complete attention. I'm talking games with captivating, explorable environments, high level cinematics and dialogue, and that great, beautiful feeling that the game's world is a living, breathing place. Starting off first, worlds worth getting lost in. Before I start seriously considering a game, I spend probably way too much time watching as much video as I can. I want to know what the world of the game looks like, and I want to get a sense of what it might also feel like as I'm exploring its environments. Nothing does a greater job of capturing the imagination than a scenic panoramic of the entire map. The moment I see large mountain ranges I can scale, or lush forests filled to the brim with exotic creatures and animals, I'm hooked. At a cave system, or for those games taking place in a city or metro area, large enterable buildings with narrow walkways and loot to find, you might as well take my money. The world of Pywell and the upcoming Crimson Desert appears ready to be the first open world game of 2026 to carry that torch. After Crimson Desert sets up its linear opening moments, I'll be ready to traverse the open world across fields with swaying reeds and blooming plant life, busy villages with medieval architecture and feudal-like structures, a vast desert that, honestly, I haven't seen too much of, but what little I have seen, I'm excited to explore. And finally, what I can only describe as a fantasy portion of the map with cube-like structures and sci-fi aesthetics that appear chaotic in comparison to the rest of the world. And Pearl Abyss says none of it will be gated or restricted. The entire world from day one, that's the promise. Continuing on, there's the world of Albion and the upcoming Fable reboot from Playground Games. Now, Xbox did release a deep dive into the development of this title that mostly focused on themes we'll explore later in this video, but this is another dynamic world that I'm so ready to get lost in. From some of the short gameplay and screenshots I've seen so far, Albion looks to have a large interconnected world that pays tribute to the original trilogy. I can't wait to take my created character through foggy, atmospheric villages and dark, moody mountain passes that make each explorable area feel like a completely different game. Briar Hill alone looks like a condensed, narrow town carved out of wood, surrounded in rich, dense, high-contrasted greenery. Just look at it. There's trees everywhere, growing alongside, through, and around the small village homes. I almost want to buy each of those properties just to light a fire and snuggle inside while I drink some hot cocoa. There's a snug, warm aesthetic to the opening village that acts as a welcome sign to explore every nook and cranny, climb every treetop, and, well, kick every chicken that stands in the way of your harmonious, calm personal exploration. And when the game opens up, I see large, ample terrain to ride my horse and get lost in bleak canvases that are sure to twist the comforting warmth I felt in those early moments. Then there's the Blood of Dawnwalker from Rebel Wolves, which to me looks like a mix of The Witcher, Kingdom Come Deliverance, and The Order 1886. Not exactly in terms of the actual architecture, but in the lighting and mood and colors that I've seen from many screenshots and some of the nighttime gameplay. It's a reimagining of 14th century Europe that quite honestly looks vastly different from the imagery we largely associate that time period with. The Blood of Dawnwalker has a more dark, cinematic, gloomy tone that makes me want to search through every alley and hidden crevice that might exist in the churches and villages of this world. Just take one look at the environment that Rebel Wolves is building here and tell me I'm wrong. These are locations and places I want to explore and learn everything about. Finally, last but not least, there's Grand Theft Auto 6. There's not much I have to say about GTA and its series. The team at Rockstar famously spends years crafting worlds that exceed not only my expectations for video games, but sets a floor that most games can't even reach. And the map of Vice City and its surrounding areas are touching levels of detail that make me hope I can interact with objects and things that most of the time would be static, detached background. From graffitied walls and garbage on the streets to gator infested swamps and atmospheric lighting that enriches the game's landscape, I almost want to live in this place so long as I'm not the target of some botched mission that leaves me crawling the city streets, admiring one last view of the sunset as I close my eyes and accept that the reality of death is far from being wasted. Next up, stories worth sitting through. Let's cut to the chase. I'm not a fan of really long cinematics. Some games take the extra mile, run back, circle the loop again, and spend an obscene amount of time telling you all about the world you're in. Look, I'm not against learning the history, but I play games to play the game. And most of the time, a tight narrative that spends a few moments helping me understand what's going on before giving me control again is all I need to grasp the plot. But when a game's story hits, it really hits. And when it does it by respecting my time and desire to get back to gaming, it becomes memorable. There are side missions in Cyberpunk 2077 that cemented it as one of my favorite RPGs. The way it presented missions and dialogue within the active world brought a sense of immersion that maintained this feeling like I was V. The story in Mini Shoot Adventures, which isn't an RPG or even a game anyone would consider a narrative heavy one, delivers most of his dialogue through mechanical sounds and movements emoted by spaceships. And it works. Story can be delivered in a multitude of ways. What matters most to me is not how realistic the story is, but how real the emotional beats feel to me at the moment. It's too early to say with complete certainty that the Blood of Dawnwalker will deliver on its narrative. Information and gameplay provided by Rebel Wolves confirms I'll have many options in how I approach Quest, and the dialogue system reminds me of Telltale games with a bar dwindling down to expedite my responses. It's clear there will be different endings, and though I have no idea which will eventually be canon, I do know that no matter the ending, I'll likely be satisfied knowing I made the choices to deliver the narrative I experienced. The same can be said for Fable, though I know very little about the story other than our village's people turning to stone. Playground Games Direct provided additional context on how the world in Albion can change depending on my decisions. And those changes, knowing that they exist, even if I may not immediately identify them during my initial playthrough, give me a sense of agency. It tells me that the cinematic moments between characters hold real weight, that what I'm being tasked to do has an impact on those characters beyond a meter that measures whether I'm good or bad. So it isn't as simple as stealing some bread or helping a random goat find its way home. There's an absolute and authentic response to my actions, and I'm delighted to see all of that unfold. While the new Fable is banking on player actions to drive the game's story, Rockstar has always taken the approach that chaos and movement are deeply connected. Fable hands me the quill and asks me to write my story. Rockstar shoves a completed manuscript at me and somehow makes me feel like I typed the novel myself. Since GTA 3, gamers have taken or stolen the wheel, creating mayhem, explosions, and wild forms of criminal mischief. I've mostly focused on the destination, using the road in front of me to haphazardly inflict pain on the opposing forces standing in the way of my next mission icon on the map. And I'm expecting that GTA 6 won't be much different. And in between those frame rate dropping mass pileups, the story of Jason, Lucia, and the questions I carry with me about their relationship, I'll be steered into a seamless episodic series of events captured with the mix of humor, drama, and brilliance Rockstar has made the tentpole of their success. It's with that same approach I hope Crimson Desert achieves similar results, though with chaos being supplanted by a level of player freedom hard to find in any game. I want to see an objective ahead of me and control click to the mission marker as the screen transitions to a cinematic that never pulls me out of the experience. I want to delight in the repartee between two combatants just prior to them swapping words for swords. I don't know how much of the story will meet or even sniff the likes of narrative juggernauts in the industry, but I believe the simplicity of a character looking to bring his people together amongst a deeply political landscape can offer a diverse array of smaller individual stories that form an extensive narrative I can enjoy. Or at the very least, I can play house with my fully constructed settlement. For more on the four games that define single player gaming in 2026, hit subscribe for part two, where I cover what makes these worlds actually feel alive when you're living inside them. And trust me, Crimson Desert alone could fill the entire video. Don't miss it. Check back next time for the games that inspire you to play beyond one more save.